interesting piece. The SPB 321J1. It's a Seiko Prospex Sumo 200-meter diver, which is now the 4th gen Sumo, and it's also called the King Sumo because the ceramic bezel insert has now been upgraded as a new, let's say, evolution stage of the Sumo. Of course, we've had 4 different stages, 4 gens in the past, including this one, and here I have the 2nd gen, which is in this case the Jade Sumo, the Hulk, which is the 2nd gen. And here we have the 3rd gen, which is a deep blue, also a beautiful piece, deep blue Sumo, with sapphire crystal, which was upgraded here. And now we have this 4th gen, which not only does it have the sapphire crystal, it also has now this ceramic bezel insert, and we have also a new wristband here, new bracelet with a milled clasp, which is something we've been waiting for to really complete this package, to make it, let's say, a watch which really has everything you need. Now it's got the sapphire crystal, the ceramic bezel insert, and a proper bracelet. Of course, we could still gripe about the dive extension, which is still as flimsy as in the other gens. Maybe that is something they'll keep for the next upgrade, and then maybe they'll have a proper sliding dive adjustment or something a little bit more practical, and not just let's say something that they call a dive extension but which has no real practical use. So stats, this watch size, etc., is still the same as the previous version. We had 45 millimeter width, lug width. Sorry, the watch width. We have 13.4 millimeter thickness according to Seiko, and we have 52.6 millimeter lug to lug, with a lug width of 20 millimeters. We still have all the characteristics we know. I mean, we have this beautiful polishing, Zaratsu polishing, Zaratsu-like polishing, which is almost mirror-like finish. You can see beautifully done with a brushed bevel separating top and bottom. We have a slightly changed crown, so it's still heavily knurled or milled, but it does look slightly different in terms of the front of the crown is, you have these turning marks there. Previously it was polished, but the shape still looks the same. So they just changed detail there. I guess one of the obvious changes is the bezel. Obviously it's a ceramic bezel insert, not this kind of aluminium bezel insert. And if you look at the bezel shape, it really has changed also. It used to be flat on the 3rd gen. Now we have this slightly slanting, downward slanting of the bezel, and exposing the sapphire crystal a little bit more. So previously it was better protected. Now it's quite exposed, but the bezel even sinks in deeper into the case now. So if we did like that previously, I guess now we can like it even more. It really flows into the case, and this really is requires some kind of precision to really make it fit. You need to have a good tolerance in terms of the roundness of your bezel. So that's some added complication they do there. Wouldn't really be required. So it's just a design, let's say, design related complication for the manufacturing. And it really is iconic, it's beautiful, it just really flows into the case. It makes the whole thing very harmonious. Yeah, I guess this is also a matter of taste. You like it flat. I'm not sure why they, well, actually looking at it now, if they, of course, if they want to sink it more into the case, the only way to do that is either by making the bezel thinner, basically the whole watch thinner, or to have this slanting approach as they have done here. I really think, yeah, it's beautiful, still easy to grab at the, let's say 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock position. The bezel action, as you can hear it, yeah, beautiful, slightly dampened, and sounds like a precision instrument. 120 click, unidirectional bezel, and it lines up. So it is, yeah, as we would expect from Seiko. In this case, they usually have pretty good bezel action. Interesting, if we look at the bezels themselves, you can see the form. The printing of the numbers on the bezel is smaller, is, let's say, same as the loom pip and the triangle on top. It's all like much smaller, much yeah, more streamlined, maybe more mainstream. So this is something that I prefer. I would say the previous kind of thicker printing, and if we go even back one gen to the second gen, I mean, this was even more prominent. I mean, this was really the iconic sumo printing, almost comic-like form they took there. So what we can say is obviously Seiko is trying to get a more general appeal here for this watch, and it just looks yeah, more let's say likable maybe for the general public. I think it takes away a little bit of the characteristic of this watch, but anyway, it's a ceramic bezel insert that with the logical evolution step, okay, so the printing is a bit different. That's something we'll have to live with. The markers, actually, if you look at them, they are also slightly thinner, especially obvious at the 6 o'clock and the 9 o'clock position. It goes from this kind of blunt triangular shape more to a blocky rectangle, almost rectangle. There's still a slight slant in there, but here also it's taking away a bit of the iconic shapes that we know of the sumo. Even more obvious if you look at this Gen 2 version. The hands, yeah, there was already a change back then from Gen 2 to Gen 3. So the hands are now more or less the same, I would say. They look almost identical, except the seconds hand. The pip at the front looks slightly smaller. The rest more or less the same, I would say. Also obvious here what we can see at the 3 o'clock position, our date window. So we have this loom pip there, this rectangle compliant with the ISO 6425 requirement, which the old one did not have. It was without this illuminated pip. Also the date window is not framed anymore, so there's no marking around it, and it looks slightly smaller compared to the Gen 3. So yeah, I guess those would be the major changes, I would say, that are obvious. Of course, here in both cases we have 6R35 movement, 24 joules, 70 hours power reserve, yeah, a good in-house Seiko movement. Nothing to complain about that. That's state of the art currently for Seiko at this price point. The watch dial, as you can see, the face has a textured background or surface, and this, you could call it a wave pattern. So it's it still has a nice color. It's not that kind of texture that takes away all the sunburst effect. There's still a slight sunburst effect, you can see. It's a beautiful blue, deep blue kind of color. Really very, very nice. This watch, there's actually 3 versions of this new King Sumo. There's a gray gradient, also textured dial. There's a party version, a blue or black version on rubber strap, and the other gray one is also on this bracelet. Bracelet, yeah, as mentioned, it's your pins and collars bracelet. We have the mill clasp, the knife extension, and a 3-fold clasp with this double pusher system there. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's a nice upgrade to have finally to have the mill clasp compared to the press clasps we had in the previous models. So other than that, I guess you could say it's all as we know it. We have a screw down case back, the Tsunami Wave on the case back. We have Seiko 200-meter diver and so on, and the Sapphire Crystal written there. This is not a limited edition, so it's standard production product. Yeah, probably will depend on the demand. Of course, the price hike is quite significant compared to previous. So if you compare it to the King Turtle or the King Samurai, which also have these ceramic bezel inserts, they certainly took a bigger, they added on an additional price to this. So I would say the value for money is probably still better for the King Turtle or the King Samurai compared to this. This one is, it's still good value for money, but that's why Seiko is obviously going up the price ladder and trying to play with the bigger guys in terms of quality. I wouldn't say the quality is good, but they are going from more of this cheap or economic or good priced Japanese style divers now, really trying to upscale their image, trying to simply have more high quality and high priced watches. Also, Seiko states that they have this Duratec coating or super hard coating on the case, which should reduce any kind of scratches happening. As we know, it wears wonderfully, it wears really good on the wrist. Just put it on the wrist to have a wrist shot here, so you can see it on my 8-inch wrist. So it wears really comfortable, and is a beautiful addition to anyone who likes the Sumo, and I guess it ticks most of the boxes. It's shape-wise and from the profile, it's a tool watch, but it's still very elegant and nice to wear. Okay, guys, I guess that sums it up. Thanks for watching, and peace out.